Good morning. This is Billy with Toll and Roll. And this morning I have finished what satisfied my curiosity about the Tulare County, California shooting of the poor deputy involved and the literally running over of the man who shot him. And they called it an eviction. But after 19 years of working with victims across this country, auditing documents, auditing records, looking into deed theft cases, this morning I am just appalled at the way the news has handled the reporting of this. I'm appalled that a deputy is dead. First and foremost, I'm also appalled that a man was pushed emotionally, physically, in every way to end his life this way. Anyone looking at this has to know, you're going to point a gun at deputies, you're dead. This man had to have known that. And he obviously didn't care. I want to flip the script on this and ask you, what about an audit of all the documents that went into the taking of his home? He was a homeowner. You can't evict a homeowner. The only reason they call it eviction is because the deed is stolen and someone else's name is put on it. He was never a renter in that home. And I heard some reports say, oh, the landlord says he destroyed the home. You know, guys, in this country right now, we are experiencing a genocide of our families. Our children are being stolen through CPS by people who have no right to be making decisions to remove children from homes strictly through documents that we now know through audits. Get this is a fact. 82 or 83% of every case where children are taken from the home by CPS are done through, well, I'm going to call it fraud because that's what it is. It's counterfeit, forged, and perjured documents. 83% of children are removed from homes in error. That's the word the report used. How many homeowners are removed from their home in error? How many people have lost their freedom because of errors? You know, mistake is a word you hear a lot when police officers, sheriffs, DAs, judges, you'll hear they made a mistake. That avoids accountability and responsibility. What about the fact that counterfeit, forged, and perjured documents are created intentionally in order to steal children, to steal land, to steal deeds, to steal homes, and to steal a man's freedom? The man who died, it makes me so sad for that man, that deputy. He was executing an eviction. The term executing takes on a much broader meaning in that case. And in case you don't know, PTSD, mental health, deteriorates when people are going through these crimes against them. So before you knee-jerk react and start laughing and saying somebody deserves to be dead, run over by, I think they call it a bear cat, and that sheriff pulls a Bianco. I call it pulling a Bianco when I watch sheriffs' attitudes that are like Sheriff Bianco in Riverside sometimes. These sheriffs have a duty to protect the people. And when the sheriffs are not protecting the people, and I say sheriffs because they are the highest authority in their jurisdiction. That's why we have CISPOA, Constitutional Sheriffs and Police Officers Association. We could go into that more, but my main point today is executing an eviction or a child taking based upon fraudulent, forged, or perjured documents should not be happening in our country. And when I heard the story behind the death of this deputy, he's a sheriff, he's a deputy, works for the corporate structure of a sheriff department, and the death of this man, and people laughing about him being run over. Well, he was run over a long time ago by judicial warfare. And until our country quits laughing at death of any kind, or attempted death of any kind, and takes serious that we have a war going on right here in our country against the people. We have a communist foundation that has infiltrated the Bar Association. Read history. Look into how the bar was formed. Look into the 1950s and the bars, the state bars. The bar is a cabal. When a man is evicted as a tenant from his home that he owned, and from a home he begged sheriffs, law enforcement, judges to help him keep, and you look into the names of some, well, Mr. Cooper, for one, is a financial business behind the taking of this house, of this man who is now dead. And what saddens me is I talk to people all across this country every day. Last week alone, I had a woman get very mad at me, someone I care about, who was describing doing basically the same thing this man did, because she was so mad that her home was being stolen through counterfeit, forged, and perjured documents, and nobody was listening. Quote unquote, she said to me, I have so-and-so listening to me. I have so-and-so. A group's going to come. They're going to stand with me. And I'm not leaving. I am going down with this. I don't care what happens to me. And that made me so sad for her. Why? I said, what? You can't be a martyr. Well, they're not taking what isn't theirs. And I said, but when you're gone, they'll shoot you. They will. That's inevitable. I don't care, she says to me. And I said, well, does your child care? So I'm done for now. I just had to come on and tell you that once I looked into this murder in Tulare County, it wasn't just a deputy who was murdered. The man who by all accounts went crazy, he was murdered too. What about the people who filed and fought the man to steal his deed? Where is their accountability in this? If I have anyone watching this who knows the sheriff who was murdered by the man, you should be looking into who stole the man's title too. Because guess what? Your husband, your son, that deputy is dead because he, in the line of duty, may have just been a victim himself, besides being shot, by a system allowing the theft of homes, the theft of children, through counterfeit, forged, and perjured documents. Before you start cheering about a man being run over intentionally, mind you, that's what the sheriff said. We ran him over. Really? Well, the system ran him over a long time ago. You just were never there to help pick him up and sort out the theft. Because I'll guarantee you, people, my opinion, audit those records that were used to take the deed of that man's home. And I'll bet you're going to find a very different story. And unless this has happened to you or someone you love, you have no idea how crazy it can make you. Because you know what? You steal a man's home, you steal a man's life, you steal a man's title. He has, what has he got? He has zero trust in those who are duly elected to protect the land, home, and lives of our families. So share this video, especially with the poor deputy's family. That man, yeah, he was murdered. But our country is being murdered piece by piece through counterfeit, forged, and perjured documents. Our lands, our children, our lives are at stake of being run over by a bearcat, of being dismissed by judges, of having sheriffs execute warrants that are backed by counterfeit, forged, and perjured documents. So I ask in this, what about Mr. Cooper's accountability? What about lawyers' accountability? What about the sheriff's true accountability to what really caused the death of his